globe.
I believe he's
Coming, right?
Why is
Tony may
this,
come late.
why is this seat shrinking?
Okay.
I feel like a munchkin. What's going on?
Now you know
welcome.
how my mom feels.
That's why I'm around. I'm gonna make you feel much bigger.
How
Welcome
is
to
Debbie
the-
bigger than me here?
Can we start, team? You know, there's plenty of seats up here. You could,
Well, no, this is where we sit for the town board meetings, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes. We know our place.
welcome to the Rye Town Council meeting of October 18th, 2016. Please rise, and let's ask Navy Dejanovic to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please remain standing. Heavenly Father, bless this assemblage. Grant us the wisdom to make our every decision fair-minded and in the best interest for all its residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. A roll call, Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Jackson.
Here.
Councilperson Nardi. Councilperson Baxter. Councilperson Villanova.
Here?
And Supervisor Zuckerman.
Here. I believe Tom Nardi is ill this evening, and Tony Baxter has an engagement. He may be able to join us later. We have minutes for September 20th, 2016. Unless there are any additions or corrections, may I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have no presentations this evening. Let's move right on to two items. I know we have people who would prefer not to be here. Our assessor, Denise, we have two cert items. Paul, you can chime in if you so desire.
Good evening, Honorable Supervisor and Town Board. I'm actually happy to be here. Thank you for moving me up on the agenda, though I do appreciate that. We do have two cert matters. I don't know which one's first on the agenda, but
Sherman Street.
Sherman,
Sherman.
okay, Sherman the restaurant, Marianacci's. Unfortunately, I can't really say too much without being in executive session. So if you have any questions or, basically, we're looking at reducing the assessment in '09, 14%, 10%. After that, it's relatively minor. 2011, 1%, 2012, 4%, 13, 4%, 2014, 4%, 2015, 6%, and 2016, 6%.
Denise, when you make a comment that there's not too much that you can say without going to executive session, is there information that we should know, or information that you would share with us in executive session that would have a specific impact on this resolution?
No, other than the fiscal impact memo that I provided to you, which outlines the basis for the reduction and the estimated tax refunds.
Okay.
Did you negotiate this with the assistance of counsel?
Yes, Jeff Binder
And-
was
and-
involved.
And counsel approves the settlement as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Although, in the interest of full disclosure, I've eaten there many times. It's very good food, by the way, so just want everyone to know that.
We know,
Did not influence my decision one iota.
we
Paul did not
happen,
weigh in on this.
we happen to know that there are many people who eat there.
Yes, I was there Friday night.
May I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Call the roll?
Jackson.
Yes.
Villanova.
Yes.
And Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes. The second one is 36 Martin Place.
Yes, and this is a two-family, so normally a two-family would go through the small claims assessment review process,
I
but
thought this was a three-family.
oh, yes, I'm sorry, it is a three-family. And normally, it still would go through the small claims assessment review process, but because it's non-owner occupied, a cert had to be filed for 1 year. And basically, the owner brought to our attention some discrepancies in the inventory. We did an inspection of the property, we reconciled the inventory and the value, and we're looking for a reduction for only assessment year 2015. It is a, shoot, I didn't do the percentage reduction here. Let me look at the resolution. A percentage reduction of 27%, but it is for the 1 year.
And this is,
That seems high for a-
I'm a little confused.
Okay?
We have 2015, let's just say 2000,
Oh, that's it.
assessment year 2014, you have this building assessed at $940,000. 2015,
No,
no? Okay,
I'm sorry, we're on 36 Martin?
Yeah.
yeah.
36 Martin, three-family,
No,
uh,
this says.
just
this
1
is
year.
Marianacci's,
2015.
the wrong,
Oh, you have the wrong information.
This is Martin. What's that one? Oh, wait,
The
just
town-
take that second piece out.
as I
That
read
got
this,
in
the
there by
estimating
mistake.
refund is $538.99. Is that correct?
Correct. It's only 1 year.
Hold on, where is the, I'm
It
sorry,
looks,
the wrong
Okay, I see.
document was in that packet.
it should be a fiscal impact memo that has
Counsel?
a three-family that looks like this. I don't know if you can see it from there.
That's all.
Do you have this one, Billy?
I have it now. There was
Yeah,
a
one
document
got
in front of it.
thrown in
Okay.
mistake.
I'm just, I mean, the 27% seems like such a large number. You know,
It could be that, I mean, that a reduction could be that high. We looked at assessments on the street. It is in an industrial type area.
Area.
It's not zoned residential. And I also looked at sales, and it's right in line with both of those assessments on the street and the sales.
to reduce the 27%.
Right.
But it is it's a three-family residence,
It is a
correct?
three-family
And So
residence.
it's commercial use,
Well, yeah,
it's a commercial building.
it's considered residential.
It's 'cause- okay, so
1 to
yeah,
3 family is considered residential. 4 family and up is considered
That-
commercial.
I think
Even
that's
if
what,
the owner
excuse me,
doesn't-
I think that's what the problem was. Prior to the filing of the grievance, it was considered commercial. And upon inspection, it was discovered that it's a three-family, not a four-family. If it was a four-family, it would be commercial. And because it was discovered to be a three-family, that resulted, it was an actual classification change, and that's what resulted in the substantial reduction. Am I correct?
Right, and the inspection resulted in a reduction in square footage, a reduction in bedroom count, and a reduction in bathroom count.
By inspection, you mean the inspector actually went in?
Charlie, our real property appraiser,
he
actually went
actually
in
got
and
in.
took a look at it, yeah.
Right, so this was a personal inspection that reviewed the correct
Correct.
condition of the property that is
Correct
being
inventory,
assessed.
yep.
Yeah.
This is true.
what is do you have, the rents that are being charged there? Was that shared with you?
No. But normally, on a 1 to 3 family, you're still valuing it at market rent, I mean, at market value, so you're valuing it against sales.
But it's not owner occupied.
You're still valuing it against sales. That's the criteria to value a 1 to 3 family. Once you go to a 4-family, then you start implementing the income approach.
That, okay, that's why it was so high. And our records were off by a whole unit, I'm assuming, in the building.
Well, yeah,
Well, actually,
mean,
if you
this-
consider the reduction from 4 to 3, it's a 25% reduction, so you're getting 27%, so it does make
I mean,
some
the-
sense.
yeah, I mean, well,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about rule of thumbs.
Okay. All right.
But, yeah,
May I have a motion in a second?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Councilperson Jackson,
Yes.
Councilperson Baxter,
Yes.
Councilperson Villanova,
Yep.
and Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes. Let us skip, because I know that Navy was here for the commission meeting. Let's go skip down to the finance report.
Would you mind if I give the assessor report? Because
No.
there is nothing else at this time to report, if that's
Okay.
okay?
I thought, that's fine. Is that your report?
That's my report. At this time, there's nothing else to report.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Night.
Proceed.
Good evening, all. So in front of you, you have the September 30th closed package for the town of Rye, and it's voluminous, so I'm going to just give you a sense of what's in here. Page 4 is the summary. It's the revenue and expense schedule.
I don't have this document.
I don't have it either. I only have page 16.
Yes, I do.
Do you have this document?
It looks like this. It says Town of Rye General Fund.
Oh, not me. Do you have one? How do you not have one? You're like the boss.
It's right there.
Oh,
Yep.
This is how it prints. Okay. Is that what you want?
Tax receivable summary, no, that's what we have.
No, this is just a tax, we don't have that report.
Oh, I don't know. It was distributed. We distributed
As of
last
September
Thursday.
30th?
No,
Yeah.
no, no, no.
Oh, no, it's
That's
this.
tax
code.
receivables report.
Kathy sent it out on Thursday.
Who's Catherine?
Oh, my senior
Read the
accountant.
account.
Oh.
Why don't you give us an oral report?
Sure.
Tell us what's
Sorry.
happening.
Okay, so as of September 30th, we had $2,767,000 in revenue, which is about $500,000 above budget. So we prorated the budget. The revenue budget for the whole year is $2,958,000. We are ahead of budget. Most of it is for in-rem rent, and then we had significantly more closings in July and August than we had budgeted. So we had budgeted something like $200,000 for the whole year, and we've got almost $600,000 just for the first 9 months in closings. And so that,
You're talking about in-rem closings.
no, in rent, it was two components that gave us the increase in revenue. One was the in-rem rent, and the other was the closings during the summer months that
But
were.
we're not going to have those anymore.
No, it's gonna flatten out.
That's finished.
It's gonna flatten out. So we are.
Unless Paul has a surprise for us.
No, Paul? Okay, so we are ahead of budget on revenue, and then on the expense side, we are behind budget about $200,000 in expenses. And so what's happening is we go through every month and we close the books for each department. So the court, the assessors, the legislative, all of the branches, and then we tie out all of the books. And so for the 9 months, we are behind on expenses, and so the end result is we are $600,000 ahead of budget net. Now, a lot of this is due to timing, so for the rest of the year, this this net surplus may dwindle down a little bit, but it looks like we're still gonna be ahead of budget for 2016. We are projecting, we're working right now on the budget. Kathy, my senior accountant, distributed the budgets to all of the department heads this morning. And so the budget process starts with, we look at 2015 actual, 2015 budgeted, 2016 actual through September 30th, and then the department heads will project what they think will happen for the last quarter of the year, and then using those numbers, we'll try and project 2017. So the next time we meet, I'll have budgeted numbers for you. And we're hoping that they should be final. I'm not sure what the process is for you, how many times you see that budget, but we should have final budgeted numbers for you the next time we meet.
Thank you for that report.
You're welcome.
With only 3 months left, obviously, you have up to the third quarter, I guess, all closed.
Mhm.
Are there any departments that you've reviewed where you see, some issues, where departments are overspending their budget?
No, actually, we see the reverse. So I think in Hope's department, we see less salary and benefits. And for the departments that are over in salary and benefits, and that's your largest ticket item for most cases. So
Right.
for executive, it was the payment of the former secretary, confidential secretary, we paid about $28,000. So that was over budget because we hadn't anticipated when we prepared the 2016 budget to have this payout when we had the transition. But if there is a fluctuation, we look into it, and you'll see when you get this package, I'm sorry you didn't get it,
You know what, if it's, I don't know if it's that package, but we did receive an email today from Kathy.
No, that was,
no, that wouldn't have been, Kathy wouldn't contact you directly. I don't know what the process is. We send it to Hope and to,
Maybe
then-
Hope forwarded it to us?
I
so
didn't-
we'll look
I
into
only
it.
got
Anyway.
something today.
We'll look
from
into
the-
it
but
and
when
see
you
if we
get
can-
the September close, feel free to call me if you have any questions on any of the fluctuations for any department. But what we do is if there's a fluctuation when you look into budget to actual, we'll identify it with a letter. And then there's a variance page that tells you what's causing that fluctuation. So we look into any variances and provide an explanation for
Right, and I
them.
think we have, and you're talking about Kathy Hamill.
Yes.
We have that email.
Oh, you
So that
do?
was, right, so that was sent to us
Oh.
tonight at 5 o'clock. So we do have it,
Okay.
and it looks like she's looking for a response from the department heads by Friday.
No, that's your budget.
That's on the budget.
That's the budget.
Correct, and she wants a response from the department heads, am I right?
Okay.
Preliminary budget, yeah?
Okay.
Preliminary budget, is it?
It arrived at 5 something this afternoon. It's a schedule
All right.
designed to help input for next year.
Right,
I
well,
think
the
there's a-
preliminary budget is due October
The
31st.
tentative.
When does he have to file the tentative?
Well, it has to be filed on October
Tentative
30th.
October
It's next
31st.
week.
Actually, it's October 30th. It has to be filed with my office.
The 30th is a Sunday, so
Yeah,
does
so I'll
it
be
take it
the-
over a
okay.
day? Okay, so that's soon.
Soon.
Yeah, so Kathy will be we'll be working on it in the next week or so, and then we'll have it definitely, I mean, if you want me to work on Sunday, that's not a problem, but,
No,
No, you have to the 31st.
no, we don't have to do that.
yeah. Okay?
Well, you have a handle on it.
Yes, it's, like I said, it's all been scheduled, the work papers, the numbers, and then if we know of any fluctuations or any expenses,
Yeah.
anticipated
I've
expenses.
asked Debbie to check in. We need to know what the mortgage tax is for the, to date, because as the 6-month figure was considerably under budget in revenue. So I don't know if that was made up for or not, but we'll find out what those are, because we need those figures to figure out what the budget is going to be.
For next year, right?
Yep.
Okay,
All right. Further questions? Thank you.
Okay.
All
Thank you.
right. I don't think we have the public here for comments, so unlike the commission meeting. Let's go to resolutions. Appointment of a financial advisor. We discussed, I'm sorry Tommy's not here because we had a meeting and went over this. The resolution is before us to appoint Capital Markets as our financial advisor. And they are the financial advisor to virtually every surrounding village, town, the county, many school districts. And why do we need a financial advisor? We just did a last rollover on the outstanding bond anticipation note. So next year, we must go to a serial bond for that. We also project that we'll need to bond for improvements at Crawford Park and possibly Rye-Town Park, although that's not as likely. So the purpose of a financial advisor is to get a bond rating. If you have a bond rating, you have when you go to get the bond, if you have a good bond rating, which I expect the town of Rye will have, possibly AAA, the bond rate will be lower thereby, and also the financial advisor gives us other advice regarding our finances. Davey, do you have anything you'd like to add on that? our
Based-
controller, David Burns.
Based on the resolution in the RFP, it's a good chance that the savings in interest cost will cover the cost of the consultant. And depending on how much we go out to borrow, we may even save more in interest costs by being rated and getting a lower interest rate on our long-term bonds by using capital markets. So it makes sense, basically.
So-
basically.
ahead.
I apologize, because I've never heard of a government entity without a bond rating. We do have bonds from past years, correct?
Well, we have a bond anticipation note, and we do have serial bonds, but because of the dollar amount in the past wasn't that large, it didn't make sense to go out and spend the money. But because we're looking at, other projects for Wright Town Park and even for Crawford Park, the amount of borrowing will increase, and then you can justify the cost of the consultant because you'll save the money on the interest cost. So prior to this, the amount didn't justify it, so.
So now, when we go to bond, will they guide us through that, the bond market, and sort of?
Yes.
Okay, so
The
they'll,
the entire
they'll hold our
process, yeah,
hand.
they take us through the whole thing from A to Z.
And I thought a majority of Crawford Park was through grants.
No, no, the grant, well, we're still seeking grant money for everything we do, but the grant money is not gonna cover
Cover the
the
entirety.
the entirety. I mean, we're talking about the pavilion, we're talking about the mansion, we're talking about the playground, the sensory garden. The grant money covers 50%.
Okay.
And if we should, in the future, for example, get grants to do work on the fields, for example, either the ball field or to make the, the soccer field, et cetera, put that in better shape, then we'll have the bond rating for that. Not that that's in planning now, but in case we do.
How would it work, though? I'm just wondering, kind of to see, because I know you're talking about two political entities when you talk about Rye Town Park, which is Rye City and Rye Town. Would we be doing the bonding completely?
Yes, no. The way the
And-
Park Commission works is, obviously, for operating expenses, comes out of revenue. If there is a deficit in revenue, then the city of Rye and the town of Rye each have to pay a percentage based on the assessed value of any deficit. We do not have a deficit this year, so that does not come into play, nor was there a deficit last year. For capital, each municipality bears its own capital costs in a percentage set forth in the act creating the city of Rye, which is approximately 60% for the town of Rye and 40% for the city of Rye on capital costs. So that's how it works, and we have bonds on the schedule, Davy, for the roof on
Right Town Park.
on Rye Town Park.
Correct.
How much is about 1.7 million? Wasn't that?
Well, Right Town Park, that was originally 650,000, now it's down to 260.
Yeah, what is it
The 1.7 is for the bridges.
for the bridges?
Right, but that's
Right.
Town of Rye.
That's Town of
And maybe
Rye.
just to clarify too, is if Rye Town Park approves a capital budget, then the Town of Rye is going to have to incur 60% of that
Percent of the
cost
cost.
and then decide how to pay for it. And in the past, they've had to go out and borrow the funds.
Yeah,
So this would allow us to bond for it.
Yeah, if we have money in the capital fund for the park, then we need not bond. It depends on what the expense is. It's one thing to buy a computer system or a cart, and it's another thing to spend $10 million on the administration building.
Right.
So,
Would be nice if we could get a capital plan for that.
well, the point is, we are going after grants for all of
Yeah,
these things,
no.
because whatever we get in terms of a grant means less money out of our own capital
That's right,
budget.
this is a prudent decision to go forward. This is, again, another perfect example of Supervisor Zuckerman's administration being proactive and seeking out the best way to provide a clear path to a progressive future. So I want to thank the supervisor for doing this. This is great.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate the vote of confidence.
Shocked we didn't have.
Did we have a motion and a second? No, we didn't have one
We
yet.
didn't.
Motion and a second, please.
Enthusiastically, yes.
I'll make the second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilperson Jackson,
Yes.
Councilperson Baxter,
Yes.
Councilperson Villanova,
Yes.
and Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes. Second resolution is for a Veterans Day donation in the sum of $1,000 towards Veterans Day ceremonies, and we do this every year.
This is
I
the same that
attached
we've
the-
done in the past?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's, attach a copy of the budget.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Jackson,
Yes.
Baxter,
Yes.
Villanova.
Yes.
And Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes. The third resolution is to appoint an engineering consultant. We have discussed this in the past, and the resolution provides that Dolph Rotfeld, who is a consultant to a great many municipalities, including the county and Village of Rybrook, and probably half of the municipalities in the county of Westchester. This provides us with consulting, with basically general engineering services as needed for the amounts set forth. Actually, it's hourly amounts set forth in the schedule. And this will enable us not to seek an engineer every time we need an opinion. For example, we're hoping to go out for a grant to improve the walking trails in Crawford Park, possibly a bike path, and that will require engineering services. Possibly looking at the beams in Crawford Park, preparatory to going out to bid, et cetera, things like that, that we have somebody on staff to be able to do that work. It would also include going out and looking at the bridges to assist our highway superintendent with professional services, et cetera. So we have discussed this for some period of time, and just to note, this only goes to December 31st. The plan is that next year, appointing of the consulting engineer would be part of the organization resolutions that we do every January.
So Gary, in the resolution, it says until December 31st, 2017. Should that be this year?
Well, no, it's every other January, so that's correct, actually.
Right, so it's going to go
Oh,
for a
okay.
year.
Yeah, the
plus.
appointments are 2 years. So this would be through the next year.
Next year. Right,
Okay,
There's an election next November for 2 council seats.
right.
And then we do, that following January, you'd have another reorg.
Reorg, right.
Yeah.
all right.
And there's no retainer with this, right? This is just
No.
simply as needed?
It says, yeah, it says
hourly?
specifically as needed.
Okay.
The contract is longer than this, but there are other terms in it, and I just wanted to get Dolph on board so that we could use him on an
No,
hourly
it's good.
basis as
Makes
needed.
sense.
Okay?
And this, I guess, I know that we're using a consultant for grants, and we're specifically looking at, one of the tasks she's charged with is looking at the bridges.
Yeah, well, we have Hillside Avenue going out.
Yeah. Hillside.
Dolph is already a consultant for the Village of Mamaroneck on that one.
Okay, so Dolph is involved, because I
He's
think it's
already
a great
involved.
resource, too, to have.
He's already involved, and he's already involved in the Rye-Town Park Commission and the work that we're doing. He's a consulting engineer on the FEMA work on the seawall at Rye-Town Park.
Oh, great, so
So-
he's involved everywhere.
So he's involved. Motion and a second, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Jackson,
Yes.
Baxter,
Yes.
Villanova.
Yes.
And Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes, that finishes our resolutions. We've had the assessor report. Finance, Dave, you have anything else?
I'll turn it over to Paul for the,
Okay, we're going to do an interim report.
Well, actually, we don't have much to report. David did provide the last page is our class of 16 in REMS. We did have 3 people pay. obviously, the phone calls have started, so the redemption date, I believe, is the end of the year, 12/31. Obviously, I'll keep you posted as we usually get a number of people paying up then, and then after that, it becomes another step in the process when they continue to delay payment. But
Paul, does this chart reflect the three that are already paid, or?
yeah, at the bottom, you can see 3 have paid.
Oh, okay, they're at the bottom,
And then the rest,
okay.
the ones at the top remain unpaid. We did learn that the 2 of them, the bottom 2, Caputo Tollgate, are in bankruptcy, so we cannot proceed against those. But the rest, we've notified them, they've all been served, and we're starting to get calls.
Talk to me about the process in bankruptcy, please.
Well,
The process has stayed, but those taxes are not, they will
correct, the
be paid,
process is
they will be
stayed.
paid at the
We
end.
submit a claim, the bank, Nick submits a claim. Presumably, when they are granted bankruptcy and a trustee is appointed, they pay the trustee, and the trustee pays us, but under whatever amount and timing that they choose. So it's really not a great process for us all the time. But no, we're not waiving the taxes at all. But this has been going on a long time. This is their second go-round in REM. And the property is fully occupied. It's a restaurant in Mamaroneck. So I'm not sure why it's, but there is a significant mortgage, small business loan on it. So the state has reached out to me and explained to me about the bankruptcy and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's a considerable number.
Yeah, no, it is. It's been a long time, too.
Mr. Noto, have you seen, since we're sort of going after in recent years, the in-rems, more so than we have in the past, as we're sort of gotten around, have people been more diligent in paying their taxes or paying us back when they get the notices?
I'd like to think so. I mean, this is a kind of a small class. I mean, the first year was like we had 75, so, I mean, this is 20, which is fairly manageable. But, it's year to year. It's hard to predict. A lot of these are repeat offenders, so these are people that are chronic non or late payers who just, don't pay or whatever, have other issues. So yeah, I think John Q. Public gets it pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, 99% of the people are paying on time, but you do get, there is always a percentage that just either don't pay or delay payment.
Okay. Thank you. Receiver of taxes, we've received the monthly report. Paul, I guess that's your town attorney report?
That's my
Okay.
report, yeah.
Town clerk, Madam Clerk, you have submitted your report. Do you have
Right.
anything else to add?
And we should work on picking a date before November 10th to present the tentative budget to the board. And, yeah,
Well, tell me about that process, Chris. This is my first go-round.
well, our next meeting is scheduled for November 15th, but we're required by law to have the town clerk present the town board the budget. We could do it at a morning meeting.
What we've done in the past
Mm.
is, just because of the timing, a lot of times we'll just meet at the town clerk's office. And
Call a
we'll
special
the
meeting?
there, and Hope will give us the budget, and we'll part as friends.
Okay. We'll part as friends anyway.
And then present it publicly at the next public meeting?
That would be too late.
No, but I mean, as long as it's presented to us.
Well, it'll be
Oh,
on the
yes.
website.
And then you
it'll
have
be
to
up on the
work on
website. Okay.
modifications.
presented to us prior to it being on the website,
Right.
I assume.
And
No,
then
I'm
we
just
have
saying,
to
yeah, that makes sense.
choose a date for a public hearing, and that has to be
Later on, right,
advertised.
sure.
5 days before.
All right, so why don't we coordinate, look at your calendars tonight and pick a date sometime prior to November 10th, when we can gather and have the budget presented to us.
Yes,
Okay?
it won't take long.
Perfect.
It won't take
Then
long.
after that, the board and you work on the budget.
Fun.
Okay, Superintendent of Highways, you have submitted a report. Do you have anything to add?
No, do you have any questions at all?
Does the council have questions of our highway superintendent?
No.
South
Does this report differ from the last report?
Yeah, there are some changes with regards to Otter Creek Bridge and the Hillside Avenue Bridge.
You mind going over them for us?
Sure. The request from the New York State Labor Department has been responded to by the town, and we have not, as far as I know, we haven't heard anything back yet. So they either are satisfied or haven't gotten to it yet. So, and the Village of Amerenik has submitted some additional grants to the county as far as seeking monies for flood mitigation to go towards the work on the Hillside Avenue Bridge. So
Actually, the grants were submitted to the state of New York under the Bridge New York program.
they've just submitted additional grants to Westchester County.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
good, thank you.
Yeah,
Because this is the Mamaroneck River, right?
Yes,
This is the area
yes.
sort of between Mamaroneck Avenue School and Boston Post Road, or
Yeah, it's-
Halsted Avenue on the other side.
exactly, but it's a lot of flooding was
Yeah.
in response to that, so the county has grants available for flood mitigation, and this project may qualify under flood mitigation. So they've submitted applications for another grant.
I know
Right,
there's a church right after you kind of get
Yeah.
over the bridge, and it's terrible. It floods every 2 years or so. You know, they're rebuilding it and rebuilding it, so we could,
one thing, we're hoping that we get the Bridge New York grant, because that's a 95% grant.
Yeah, that
The
covers a
county
big chunk
grant
of
is
it.
only 50%. So, we could possibly get both,
That's what we're hoping.
yeah. Yeah, the Village of Amerenik is lead on that, because they have the infrastructure to do a lot of these things. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you.
And there's only one item left. Comments from the council persons? Anybody have anything to say?
I will just offer that it was a great day on Sunday, marching in the parade. It was great to see everybody. I think it was a wise choice to defer a week weather-wise.
Yes, it was.
And we had a great crowd, and it was good to see everybody, so.
Thank you.
I concur with Councilman Baxter, and I'm also happy to have given our Veterans Day donation to the American Legion. You know, my grandfather was a World War II veteran, and the American Legion was really special to him, and I think, you know, our veterans really deserve the best, and I'm happy that we can help out in any way.
Thanks, Lindsay. The only thing I have to, I just want to bring up Crawford Park. Everything is moving forward. We were going to have an RFP going out for hazardous materials, asbestos and lead abatement, et cetera, to determine if there's a problem. There probably is a problem, since the building is old, but the question is how much of a problem it is. And as many of you are aware, we have received bids for the pavilion work. Gary Gianfrancesco, our architect, has negotiated with the low bidder to get the price even lower, and therefore, we will not need to rebid the contract. And at the November meeting, hopefully, we will have a contract ready to present to the council for its approval. And we're working on getting the bid documents ready to go out on the mansion. The playground bids are in, and we're waiting actually for some consulting by organizations representing disabled and disabled persons to advise us on which playground configuration may be most appropriate within our bid requirements. We have several that came in either under or just slightly over what our estimate was. Some came in way over, but we're going to wait until we see we get the input from the organizations to make a final decision, and again, hopefully bring it before the full council at the November meeting. And we have before us, as you can see, a schematic of the sensory garden that is at 75% drawing, and hopefully we are going to get that completed and go out to bid and get that built. Our goal is to get most of the work done by the springtime, except of course for the mansion, which is going to take a bit longer. So that is my report on that.
Well, since you mentioned it, I just want to commend you and Mr. Gianfranco for what they did as far as the bid process recently, because you don't always get what you want in a bid. It doesn't necessarily meet your qualifications, but you guys were able to sit down with the lowest bidder and work out a plan, so we got what we needed, and we sort of avoided the hiccup of having a entirely new bid process. So it's great that you were able to move it along.
Thank you. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Actually, wait, can I take that back?
And it's only 8:30.